Hey, what's going on? Brian here. Hope you're having an amazing day. And I am excited to have my good friend Cole Humphus here. I've known Cole for a long time. This is actually pretty cool. I was thinking about this leading up to us meeting up today to record this. Yeah, you were actually the one who like opened my eyes to what's possible with internet marketing, because when you were getting started,
2015.
yeah, what's that?
2015. I'm pretty sure you visited in 2015.
Was it? I thought it was earlier than that. I know I was in town for a tournament, but in any case, it's good to have you here, man. Thanks for taking some time to come on.
This will be a blast. But yeah, I said 2015 because, and I just told that story the other day, and I've told it a handful of times, even on different podcasts. So indirectly, you are featured on a lot of other podcasts that I'm on. But 2015 was the first monster year for us, where we did over 7 figures where a lot of what I was doing was scaled up with Facebook ads. And I remember you looking over my shoulder on the spreadsheets at the house that I lived at back then. And you were like, so explain to me, like, what are you doing here?
Like, what's going on here?
Look at this. So this means I spent $1 here and it produced $2.50 here. So
those were like the glory days too. Those are like the amazing, which we'll talk about.
Imagine what I could do with that knowledge now. But yes,
I know, we can just go back in time. So I do want to say this really quickly. I think this is important. I try to run this podcast and this video like the way that I would want people to do. So one thing I do want to say is, like, Cole is the real deal. I feel like there's a lot of people out there, they're quote unquote experts. I think most people out there who are experts are just basically staying a chapter ahead, which is great. But I think that there are levels to the game, and Cole happens to be one of those guys who's actually done it. I know personally, he's actually a friend, and I know his journey, and he's done all the things he's going to talk about. He's done multiple times. He's had incredible success. So if you're listening to this, pay attention, because this isn't just like the same old stuff. This is somebody who's actually been in the trenches, and he's actually accomplished some pretty amazing things. He's someone I look up to. I go to Cole a lot for advice and to brainstorm ideas. So again, excited to have him on here. So I don't know if you want to give a quick, just kind of background, just so people know kind of where you came from and where you are right now.
Yeah. And thanks for that intro, by the way. It's been fun watching you dominate business as well. It's funny because when I came up the ranks, I had somebody who sort of was my kind of friend mentor, right? Yeah. And I say friend mentor, mentoring and giving me guidance on business, but who was a friend. And I think I was sort of like that with you. So it's cool to see how successful you've become. But yeah, my story, I mean, let's see here. I worked in corporate finance in college, and decided one day to pick up a camera and teach myself photography to do weddings, become a wedding photographer. And even though people said, but you aren't a photographer, I decided I'm sure I could figure it out with the internet. And I did. And I wanted to do that because in San Diego, I had just bought my first house and I wanted some extra side income. So we started doing weddings. And I say my girlfriend at the time, I ended up learning, then I ended up teaching her. We started doing that. So then we were juggling full-time jobs with wedding photography on the weekends. And about 3 years into that, I decided on a photo shoot for somebody else. This is the friend mentor that I just talked about. His name's Sean. And he had a cool little YouTube channel that he was making money online. I didn't know what he was doing. And I said, how's that like online thing going? And he's like, great. We made like 6 figures 3 times this year. And I'm like, what are you doing? Maybe I should teach photography. He's like, yeah, you should. So about 3 months later, I started a YouTube channel as well as a blog. And literally every morning I would wake up 4:35 in the morning and I would write a tutorial, or I would edit photos from the weddings that we did on the weekend. Then I would get in my car, go to the gym, and then go sit in traffic and go to work. And I did that for about, 3 or 4 years, juggling all 3 of these jobs. Now, the business I started was called Cole's Classroom. It was photography education. Some of you out there maybe have even come across it. It became a pretty decently sized, I don't want to say big because that's relative, but we had a very large worldwide reach, where at our height, I grew it to 10,000 monthly members at $49 a month. That was a cool milestone to hit that I had my sights on. So Yes, that's a good milestone right there for us. And it was an easy street, right? I mean, to put it as bluntly and I guess as honest as I can, I wanted to quit the first 3 times in the first year. I was doing this juggling act between all these jobs. I saw the potential, I guess, with online, but of course, like most things in life, it takes probably 10 times the amount of effort than anyone would just in your gut think to find success. And I had to question why the heck I was spending my time doing something that was giving me no return in those early days. I kept at it, and I finally got a little break when I got an SEO, an article to start ranking in SEO. But the last thing I'll say, go ahead.
I want to go back to this. So like you, and I remember that process of you sort of selling one-off, kind of relatively like low ticket.
They were low ticket, $7 to $49, like all day long
at its height.
Everything.
And you were crushing it. I mean, you were doing really well, but then you really went hard on the subscription model. And like for those of you who are listening, I mean, just to do the math, I mean, you hit essentially $500,000 a month in recurring monthly revenue in this like subscription model. So like, that's like phenomenal.
It was good times.
Yeah.
I mean, to be fair though, it wasn't 500K because, and I'm only saying this out of true sharing honesty, because there's so much people who aren't genuine in the world today who claim to be gurus. But yes, 10,000 members was our height. 49 was the core membership. There was probably 1,500, 2,000 of them of the 10K that were on a lower tier plan. At our height, we were absolutely around 400 and a quarter ish in MRR. So it was good. It was a good number.
And you did actually, and obviously I'm not sure the details of this, but you actually did end up getting acquired, right? Like you had an exit as
3 years ago. Yeah. 3 years ago, I sold the company.
Yeah. So you went from, concept all the way through sale, which is something that, so I talk about this a lot. I think that more business owners, especially, obviously we have a lot of e-commerce folks that are listening. I think that so many times people are stuck in sort of a short-term vision of like, hey, how can I make some money next month?
Sure.
And I think that if you have the mindset shift where you're thinking long-term is like, how do I build a saleable asset? Mm-hmm. Now you give yourself a 1-2 year time horizon to make incremental gains over a long period of time, right? So now your whole mindset shifts from short-term gains to like a long-term goal, which you absolutely, I think, have to have, right? If you're really, especially in e-commerce, because the big payday comes from an acquisition. It's not from cash flow each month.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, I think for what it's worth, and this may ruffle some feathers since you can see the awards behind me. I'm a huge ClickFunnels fan. I've been using ClickFunnels since they literally debuted at Traffic and Conversion Conference. I should have more awards up there, but the truth is we had so many different funnels that all brought in money. They weren't all like on one thing. And honestly, I don't even apply for every award. That being said, I do think that if you are not selling high ticket coaching services, masterminds, coaching, whatever, I think the odds of being just one funnel away are slim to none now. It just is. The economics just don't work, especially with eCom. So the reason why I say that is to simply indicate, I do think in the old days it was. In the old days, those glory days, you could have, as I like to explain it, you could be half good at marketing and you could be half good at running ads and writing copy and doing all those things. And I use ClickFunnels, so now I get upsells. So you could be half good at understanding how to raise your average order value so that you can scale. And bada bing, you got a 7-figure funnel. Woohoo. Today, you can't be just half good at anything. You have to be really good. But what's even more important than being good is you have to have the business model that can produce the level of profitability in order to afford the advertising. And that's the biggest difference. And
anyone who's listening right now you know why Cole and I are friends. As I talk about this, I'm like, my motto is great marketing cannot beat bad math. Like you just, and you can even be great at the marketing side. You just have to have the math down. That's the thing that you and I nerd out about the most probably when we talk about business. So let's go back to, and there's some things I want to cover in terms of what you're doing now and kind of at the end of your journey now, like in this next chapter, like what thoughts you have and how you can help business owners and what you see in the future. I wanted to cover that. But could you talk a little bit about, let's flip the question upside down. I like to do this a lot. What advice would you give to someone who is in business now? And this is going to sound like a weird question, so just hear me out. If they absolutely want to make sure that they fail, what should they do?
Well, my question is, how are we defining failure?
To not produce a real business, like a business that will actually earn them money and will scale.
Got it. So it's not like failing with split testing and then like, okay, scrap that. So it's like total failure. Yeah.
Failure in the business.
Okay. So the question is, how do you set yourself up to fail?
Yeah. Cause I'm just inverting the question, like what to avoid.
Yeah.
So in other words, what should they do if they want to ensure failure? And then like, don't do that. So whatever helps you answer it. I just feel like, what are the things that people need to avoid? That's the biggest thing. Cause I feel like, and this comes from Charlie Munger. It's like one of the guys I idolize and follow. He says it's amazing the long-term advantage guys like me have gotten, not from doing anything brilliant, but from continually avoiding stupidity.
Yeah. Well, on that note, I think my answer, which I love the word stupidity, but I think the stupidest thing that people can do and often do, even as in a bigger business, by the way, not just a startup, is they don't have any appreciation for their operating costs and expenses. So what I mean by that, and I'll answer the question in sort of the startup phase, like somebody's looking to get started, and then also the established person that then basically is setting their business up for failure, even though they have had success. It's over hiring. It's like, hey, we're busy. We need to go hire a bunch of people. And instead of like figuring out what exactly needs to be done and how much time that requires and where can I go find a potential expert contractor on a part-time basis, it's like, well, we need a full-time ads person and and you just start going hire crazy. And there's so many people that I've walked into their business and I'm like, holy crap, how do you guys not have more margin in your business? And that's happening right now with one of my clients where they're doing multiple 7 figures. It's an info product and they have like 8% margin. And I'm like, that's crazy. No. So, and because of that, by the way, it strangles them with what risks they're able to take or not take. So what they end up doing is they're stuck in this phase of like repeating what kind of worked before, even though it doesn't work as good now because they're afraid and they don't have that ability to take a gamble and find new
that's
traction.
Really, Cole, that's so interesting.
It is. Yeah.
I've never thought about that though. Like the way you just said that margin, not only does it give you obviously cash flow and ability to reinvest in the business and to grow and all that, it gives you the ability it gives you the margin of safety to take on risk.
Yeah. You don't
need every attempt to be a home run. If you're on 8% margin, like it's got to work.
Yeah. Right.
I mean,
and what did you say earlier? You said incremental improvements. In order to do incremental improvements, you have to be able to try new things. In order to try new things, you have to be willing to accept failure. That's why I asked about failure, because as I explained to my students back when I was coaching and now my clients, it's like most things that we're going to do on the marketing side and from a funnel building standpoint or new acquisition tactics, strategies, whatever, they're going to fail. So I do 100% agree with the idea of your one funnel away. Like it takes a lot of like swings at the bat.
Okay, it's so funny. Yeah. Alex Hormozy, I don't know if you've read his
I love
$100 million offers book. So he's a buddy and I love his, he quotes Jeff Bezos at the beginning of that book, how Bezos says,
good quote.
Yeah. Where, I mean, I won't go through the quote, but essentially that in baseball, like you hit a home run, the most runs you can get is 4. In business, you hit a home run, you could get 1,000 runs, 10,000 runs, right? Yeah. But you have to be able to afford to take those 99 swings at the bat to get that 100th one that is a home run, which is essentially what you're saying. And
Yeah.
that 100th home run will more than pay, like that 100th like swing will more than pay for the cost of the other 99. But you got to be able to stay in the game to make that 100th swing or whatever it might be.
So, which by the way, I'm going to go back in a moment and answer the how to fail as a startup. But that's the number one thing that screws people up for established businesses that I'm seeing. But I want to indicate that I think when people look at what I did and they're like, wow, how did you get it to multiple seven figures while having 40% profit margin and then selling, like, even though the thing was named after you, right? And there's a lot of things that went into it. But the one thing that I look back and I say, we were really good at this. It obviously was data-driven decisions. We know that the data is important. You and I geek out on that. But what you and I may or may not be different. I know you'll appreciate this. I don't know if you operate this way, but we were relentless about trying shit. We literally, like, it didn't matter if we were already killing it. We were constantly trying to always beat the baseline. So that's great. You got a webinar that's working, or it's not going to work forever. So keep going. And what I always explain to the team, we are digging for gold. Just keep digging. Let me answer the startup thing, because I think this is where a lot of people fall into this trap. The way to get to pretty much 100% guarantee failure is a few things come to mind. Number one is in the eCom space in particular, look at the economics that you can actually expect to get, right? So if you know you're going to be selling widget A, how much does it cost you to get that? Okay. And then now start looking on the advertising side and start getting an understanding for, well, first ask yourself, how are you going to sell this thing? Doesn't matter if it's a cool product. How are you going to get traffic? And if you're brand new, and even if you aren't brand new, you should be thinking about how much is it going to cost me to get traffic? Because I would never want anyone to think that it's a good idea to build a business without advertising. Because if you aren't using ads, then you're just going to you might as well be working the corner, except instead of on the corner, you're on Instagram, right? Or TikTok, and just like waiting for people to get enough attention to try and buy your thing.
Yeah.
But you're also like, it's just a losing proposition, and it's nothing that's going to give you a lever to actually grow the business. So you have to have that data-driven. I guess the shortest way of answering is, if you haven't done the math to even see if you have the product lineup, the product suite, and really flush out, here's the funnel. And if it costs me $2 a click, and if I can get 3% to convert into product A, and then 10% are going to buy product B, my AOV will be this, and here's how much it cost me plus shipping minus ad cost. How does that look to you? And maybe if you're lucky, you'll be breaking even. Right?
I'm so happy you're saying all this.
But then here's the key. That doesn't account for anyone on the team. No labor. You're probably lucky if you break even if you're doing all the work. So then if you're instantly thinking, that brings up my second phase here, which is most people who are new, they are not willing or want to learn how to do it all themselves. That's fine if you're willing to just throw money at something and hope for the best. But what typically happens, and the reason why I started my new company, is new-ish people end up going and hiring contractors or agencies. Agencies come and they're like, yeah, this sounds like a great idea. Sure. We need $10,000 to properly test and blah, blah, blah. Yeah.
Testing phase. We're in the testing phase, Cole.
Man. Let me just give you guys, whoever's listening, an idea here. As soon as you have 100 clicks, you already got an idea on how something's trending. By 500 clicks, you definitely know. If any agency is telling you that they need $10,000 to test, run away. But the whole point here I'm trying to say is, you hire people because you don't know the things that you need in order to go and market this. So you hire, quote, experts. You don't get often excellent service because you're just one number of all the people they're managing, and you don't know how to manage them because you don't know if what they're telling you is blowing smoke up your butt or not. So anyways,
Yeah.
it's hard.
So
I guess to say it, it's hard. You gotta have a good plan, and you gotta look at the data before you launch. That's ultimately what I'm saying.
yeah. And again, I think it's the same point, right? Like make sure the economics even support the business model. Like, and then and you might realize, and we were having a conversation about CPMs and stuff and kind of what you see happening in the industry. And I would definitely want to talk about that. But yeah, if the math just doesn't line up, it doesn't matter if your CPMs are so high, it doesn't matter if you write a killer headline. Like it just won't matter.
You're screwed. Hey, let me tell everyone the best way to test a market and get an idea for the economics without ever having to take on risk of going and buying a big lot of physical products. Or if somebody's listening and thinking about doing a course or a coaching program, right? Either way, it's the same thing. Okay. So decide, let's say you're going to want to advertise on Facebook. Let's say you're going to launch a coaching program. Literally make a free webinar. Okay. Make your webinar. That's probably how you're going to get your calls booked anyways. Run ads to it. Run ads to it. And then you'll get an idea with really quickly how much it's going to cost you on average to get a click, how many people are going to convert on the page. And that's going to tell you if people give a shit or not about the thing that you're going to try and help people with. That's my give a shit meter, is the conversion rate. If you're only converting 5%, they don't want what you're saying. If they're converting at 50%, you got something good. Okay. So you can do it with a webinar. You can do it with like a lead magnet, little PDF, whatever. The point is, it doesn't matter if you don't have an offer yet. Just test the market with a freebie.
It's really smart.
Before taking on all the risk of producing all the course videos and all this crap that you don't even know if people want or if you can afford.
And you can do that with eCom too. I mean,
that's where I'm going next.
Yeah.
So on eCom, you know what I did even back with Cole's Classroom was for a while we were testing using physical products as our front end to then go sell the membership. Yeah. So instead of me going, I was trying all different kinds of things, but instead of like, having like, and we did t-shirts, instead of having like a bunch of t-shirts made or whatever, I go to aliexpress.com and I'd go and find the thing. Dude, I literally in ClickFunnels made a sales page using the images from an AliExpress listing, didn't have anything on it that said Cole's Classroom, ran ads to it, and literally I just did a short test because I didn't want to fulfill them all by hand anyways.
Yep.
And then for the few days, right, once I had enough data to decide if people want that product or not and what the metrics were, if it'd be profitable or not, turned off the ad. And I went over to AliExpress and I literally put all their info in and sent it directly to them.
Just ship it right to them.
So they're
like, why are all these Chinese characters on this thing?
Yeah. So you got to get scrappy. So I guess that's an easy way of answering that question, how to fail, is if you aren't prepared to get really, really scrappy and put a lot of energy before launch, you're going to get your ass handed to you, I think.
Yeah, for sure. All right. So there was one thing we were kind of chatting about. So you were talking about how content and like how essentially like content has become sort of commoditized, or like, information, and like where people need to make sure they pivot going forward. I know this is what you're doing a lot right now, is you're consulting businesses, obviously business doing, you mentioned some of the clients are doing multiple seven figures, and like you're trying to help them see what's coming up next. So this is one of the things I know that you have a pretty strong opinion on. Can you just talk about that a little bit?
The commoditization of content.
Yeah.
I do have a strong opinion, especially coming from somebody who made their entire fortune from selling content. I mean, it's simple economics, right? And the simple economics, and it's same with eCom, right? It's like, I have failures, by the way, with eCom, and I'll tell you really quickly what happened so you can see how this works with content too, because it's the same damn thing. The first time I tried to do eCom, I went and I was using whatever tool it was, software that showed me all these great opportunities with Amazon. One of them was these like literally car seat covers for pets.
I still have one.
I bet you do.
From you.
We do. I know we do too. We had a lot. Good thing I got rid of them
Yeah,
somehow.
we got a whole bunch in the garage.
Yeah. We
I'll
also
put the
did
link-
this with
I'll put
round.
the link below.
Yeah. We did the same thing with round circular, like beach towels, right? So the whole point is simple, that there's opportunity in something, right? And then a handful of people, now even more so, everyone floods in for that opportunity. So what happens was, or what happened and what happens is the economics change. Like, it was a good opportunity, but then as everyone came in to the market and started doing their version of the same kind of thing, the economics that looked good, your cost was here and your price was here. Now the price goes here, even if cost stayed the same, although ad cost typically goes up because there's more competition, and now you get squeezed. So content, right? Back then, years ago, 5-6 years ago, I mean, how many people look at iPhones. What you can record now with an iPhone, what you can record now with even Zoom. So there wasn't as many tools back then. There wasn't as many people back then producing content. And so you got a couple things. You got more entrants into the market that have flooded. You got more quality has gone up and price has gone down. So, premium prices for products, as there's more competitors, goes down. The amount of free, valuable, and high production quality has gone up, both in supply and quality. So that's what I mean by the commoditization of content. So what I believe, now, here's the people that are going to lose and here's the people that are going to win. People that are going to lose, it's already happening to them. They've been just seeing their ROI just go down. And they're doing the same shit that they always did. And they're just like, I don't know what to do to change it. We're going down. And if you're going to continue to just sell content and not add anything else into your business on the back end, you're just going to ride that thing all the way down, baby. There's no stopping it. Facebook ads are only going to get more expensive. Everything's going to only get harder. Go ahead.
And what are some of the opportunities, I guess, then? So if someone's listening to this and they're on that sort of content treadmill and they're riding that, that wave right now towards bankruptcy.
Yeah.
Like, what's the opportunity for them? And then obviously the other question is, well, what if someone's only doing physical products? Have you seen, or because we've definitely seen it. We've talked about it a little bit internally, but opportunities to then bring in the content side, given that they already have the physical product. But yeah, I mean, if someone's on that cycle with content, like what are some of the opportunities? Like, how do they need to pivot?
And this is now where I could say, this is why we're friends, because you're finishing my sentences. But,
okay.
but that's where I was going, right? So like, let's start with the easy one. If you're doing eCom, right, then I think there's a lot of opportunity to use, depending on what the product is, then you can use content as as part of your back end, right? And content also, we'll just say /coaching, right? So I think depending on the product, content /coaching /community is going to be the thing that can boost your lifetime value, not necessarily your average order value, but your lifetime value. So you can afford to acquire customers faster and more of them and more profitably. If you are a content provider already and the only thing that you're selling is content, then I do the inverse. Figure out a physical product that you can maybe sell to help your front end and then get them into the main thing that you want. And if you've only been selling courses, then now it's the time to embrace selling coaching as well. I mean, I just think coaching and service related stuff is going to continue to be a big area of opportunity for anyone. And what's going to happen is most people are going to say, I don't want to do that. I started selling courses because I don't want to tie up my time for dollars. And to that, I say, I've been there. And then you have to realize it doesn't really matter. And if you hate talking to people, then that's different. But if you're only looking at it from, I mean that, some people are like, I don't want to sit on meetings. Cool. Then don't do that. But you can still have a community that you aren't, and you can still bring in a community manager. There's still ways to do it. But what I had to learn was it doesn't really matter if you're spending if you spent 7 days a week on funnel building and tweaking, and that's your thing, That's cool. But you're still spending 7 days a week doing that. So
Yeah.
if you then have coaching and now you're spending 3 days, half of your time doing that, and then the other half coaching, it's still work. It doesn't really matter where the money's coming from. But if you don't change the trajectory of your business, you're going to be out of business within a couple of years.
Now you said if you were doing physical products, you would consider doing like a community. Because I think the coaching side, some verticals I could see that working.
Sure.
Content, paid info, I could see that. Community seems like a great opportunity I think that's the most universal opportunity for pretty much any brand. How would you, like, let's say you had I don't want to put you on the spot because I know it's sometimes hard to think with this stuff, but like if I had a home decor brand, like home decor is a pretty big, and that's pretty broad, right? It can be anything from wall decor to furniture to throw pillows, things like that. But if I had a home decor brand, what would I do? Like, how would you create more LTV? You're crushing it on the front end and acquisition, completely breaking even. Maybe you have a 20% return customer rate. So there is a repeat purchase or two in the future. But you really have to boost LTV way more than where it's at.
So many options. Number one option, this is all off the top of my head. Like we haven't fielded any of these ahead of time. Number one, people like to hang out with people that have similar interests. So community, sure. Like what's included in the community? Well, you figure that out, right? Like there's some communities that literally they just get a monthly premium. It could be another physical product a surprise product that they get every month as just one of the things. You could bring in interior designers as a monthly guest to help give them inspiration ideas. You could give them, as part of their membership being in the community, a discount, a loyalty discount that they always get as part of a buyer's club. So there's 3 ideas right there, right? But keep in mind, people like to be around people, right? This whole COVID shutdown stuff, that I think if there was anyone who ever wasn't sure about how important it is for humans to be around humans, I think when we're forced into isolation, a lot more people got it, right? Some people maybe like really loved being alone, but for the most part, like that's like in jails, like isolation and darkness, that's like the worst thing for people. So don't discount the idea of, well, I can't build a community because, like, if somebody's buying your thing, you have all these people that are buying the same thing. So inherently they share a lot of the same common interests. So it's up to you to be creative, or someone like me to help give you the ideas to say, hey, well, if you just do this, then you got something. And keep in mind, buyer's club and discounts, and even like a premium, and by premium, I mean like a bonus item that they might get. That's cool. Let's talk about software. That sounds a little more intimidating, but you could, if you want to increase LTV, depending on what they're buying, maybe there's a software opportunity. If you don't want to build it, go buy it. Go buy a little software that helps people visualize how to, decorate their homes, right? And do different configurations on the walls, kind of thing. And then in terms of coaching, I would say, instead of the word coaching, you can also just think of consultant, right? I would totally imagine you can have, directories are hard. So I'm not saying people should, but for the sake of just discussion, you could have a directory of interior designers that you can match make your buyers who want a one-on-one person to be matched to, hop on a Zoom meeting, they can show their thing, and then somebody can give them advice on what to do to decorate it. Instead of the directory thing, because that's super pain in the ass and hard to pull off well, you can just have a couple interior designers that are there, and that's your back end, right? So right there, you got like all these opportunities.
Dude, that was awesome.
Yeah.
I'm like, anybody who sells home decor, you're welcome. Like,
yeah. But you can do with anything. You can do with anything. Think about like, since I'm a dad now, I got 2 kids. We had a rough night last night. One of them was sick. But back when we were first in the sort of like newborn phase, sleeping. So imagine having a product that you're selling for new parents to help your baby sleep. Well, guess what? Some of those people, they have that product may or may not even solve their problem. So instantly there's opportunity for a one-on-one consultation with a newborn sleep expert. Instantly there's community opportunity, because guess what? there's a lot of value in the people that are going through these challenges together. Hey, I'm using the easy sleep sack, whatever, but here's what's happening now. And all these people are like, oh yeah, that happened to me too, but you got to give it time. Like after day 3, they got better. Oh, okay, cool. Like you get the idea. You do with anything. That's the beauty. And that's awesome, that's what needs to happen. Seriously. Like unless you might be crushing it right now with maybe one funnel and one channel, but just know nothing lasts forever.
It's going to dry up, and it's just the nature of everything, right? Things evolve. It's just the nature of everything around us and business. It evolves. Yep. And like you said, there's an opportunity. People will rush to that opportunity, and it'll, ad costs will go up, margin will shrink. Everyone will be doing it. Everything will become commoditized. So I always tell people, it's good to model. That's great, to hack, but become an innovator, not an imitator. And I think there's a lot of imitators, and that's why markets get flooded, right?
Yeah.
But the innovators, they're the ones who are always thinking. And sometimes it's hard to innovate on your own. And that's why it helps to have somebody like you in their corner. So I want to respect your time, but I also want to let people know how they can get a hold of you and, potentially work with you if they're good.
That's nice of you, because you and I could talk about this stuff forever. But yeah, what I'm doing now is I'm just helping other people grow, and like that was a perfect segue. Not that I'm here to pitch anything at all. I don't work. I'm not an agency guy. I don't have a team. It's me. So the people that work with me, they work with me. Nothing's farmed out. And because of that, I'm lucky to be, I'm fortunate that I don't have to go and try and, I'm here because I enjoy talking about this stuff. I'm not here because I need 10 or 20 clients. That being said, if there's anything at all that I've said today that you find valuable and you want to even just say hi and drop me an email, I would love that. You can, and if you want to learn more about me, go through the same place, go to rapidscalegroup.com. It says group, but it's really just me. Once upon a time, I thought it'd be cool to have a bunch, make this big thing. And I'm like, I just like working with really good people one-on-one. And that's what I'm doing. But it doesn't matter if it's strategy you need help with, just like we just did, coming up with new ways to monetize your existing people. That's kind of what I'm kind of known for. And I think one of my superpowers that people like Brian have seen, but even today, I think, Brian, you got a different glimpse of me, which is sort of cool.
Yeah, I know. We don't talk about a lot of these tactical things, especially on the eCom side. We usually nerd out on the numbers and I think like big idea, like strategy stuff, but it was actually kind of cool to get a little tactical. Cool, man. Well, I appreciate your time. And I'm sure I have a feeling we'll do this again. So,
hope so. It's fun.
Yeah, I guess, have a great rest of your day, man. And appreciate you coming on.
Yep. Sounds good, man. Talk soon.